We see her every night on the Ingraham angle. But who is Laura Ingraham when the cameras turn off and she goes back home to Washington, D.C.? Let's pull back the curtains to learn who she really is. From her quiet Washington home to her private family of four, come with us as we look at the family, faith, and private life of Laura Ingraham. We all know her as a conservative TV host on Fox News. But take that away. Who is she really? First and most important, she is a single mom to 3 wonderful children. Ingraham has adopted her daughter Maria and sons Nikolai and Michael from different countries. Her small family is diverse and multicultural, and she is raising them the best she can as a single mom. Her oldest is Maria Caroline, who she adopted in Guatemala back in 2008 when she was just 3 years old. Born on May 11, 2005, Maria was an orphan living at a local orphanage before the Fox News host found her. Normal adoption is already hard enough, so imagine how tough adopting from another country is. When the process was finally over and Maria's papers were approved, Ingraham was super happy. The Fox News star booked a trip to Guatemala and flew home with her daughter, welcoming the first addition to her small family. Laura Ingraham even learned Spanish so the new mother and daughter could talk with each other better. Last year, Maria graduated from high school. Ingraham even shared a photo slideshow of Maria on her Instagram page from when she was a toddler, followed by Maria holding her diploma and the mother and daughter hugging. Now, she is a college student studying nursing at Texas A&M University. Next we have Michael Dimitri, Laura Ingraham's second child. He was just a year old when Laura Ingraham adopted him in Russia back in 2010. Some say he was born in June 2009, but there were no official papers that supported this claim. His mother says he is growing like a weed and really loves Legos. Like Maria's adoption, Ingraham also struggled with Michael's, especially since there's a tense relationship between Russia and the U.S. Thankfully, his adoption went through, and Ingraham was able to bring him home. Laura Ingraham is very protective of her kids' privacy, so not much is known about Michael besides reports saying that he's going to high school at a private school in McLean, Virginia. Lastly, we have her youngest child, Nikolai Peter. Like Michael, Nikolai also came from Russia, was born in 2010, and was adopted the next year by Ingraham. Ingraham described her youngest as stubborn, strong, and smart. Despite being a little hard-headed, the boy gets along with his siblings and mother pretty well. Looking at them right now, or at least the glimpse Ingraham allows us to see of her small, close-knit family, you'd never imagine the hard times she faced just to create this home of hers. In a 2021 interview with The Wrap, the conservative TV host finally shared her thoughts about her family and adopting from other countries. Ingraham's whole personality is all about media and politics. But there is one thing she refuses to mix politics with, and it's adoption. She told The Wrap back then that adoption needs to be about children and what's best for them. Children should never be used as bargaining chips by one country against another. She spoke honestly about the subject. They're not things you can buy. This should never be about politics. Stopping the adoption of a child of any age into a loving, safe home is selfish and cruel. She also opened up about how adopting her youngest, Nikolai, was the hardest of the 3 adoptions. What's more, she says his was among the last group of adoptions from other countries granted by Russia before the country banned future adoptions to American families as a single parent. Laura Ingraham went through extra challenges since few countries allow single parents to adopt, with many wanting to have children placed in 2-parent homes. The Fox News star was already aware of how hard the adoption process was going to be and even prepared herself for the roller coaster of feelings that comes with it. She says, even as someone with enough money, raising children as a single parent is the hardest thing I'll ever do. Since God blessed me, I felt a responsibility to give more of myself, married or not, to children who needed a family, and I had always dreamed of being a mom. Throughout this whole experience, Laura Ingraham offered a few tips for anyone thinking about adoption. First, she suggests parents should talk to as many adoptive parents as they can and prepare themselves that it's a lifelong promise with no guarantees. After that, they should learn to organize and keep files, then sign up with a well-respected adoption agency. She also warns them to keep an eye out for bad lawyers who waste time and would bleed them dry. Most importantly, she encourages them to trust in God. But Laura Ingraham had one more challenge she never thought she'd face when she adopted her daughter, Maria. Early last year, Laura Ingraham went through another stressful event in her life. After raising her daughter Maria all by herself for the last almost 2 decades, her world nearly fell apart when Maria's biological parents showed up and demanded she return her daughter to them. Reports of this event came out during the second quarter of last year when Ingraham's neighbors revealed that 2 strangers came knocking at her door. A few weeks after Maria's 19th birthday, her neighbors explained that the couple introduced themselves as Juan and Mariela, the biological parents of her oldest child. The couple reportedly had official papers and demanded Maria's return to them. The couple came from rural Guatemala, saying that their daughter was taken from them during the time the country was being torn apart by civil war. Despite their hopeless situation, Juan and Mariela pushed on, hoping to find their daughter until one non-profit organization decided to lend them a hand. Neighbors, who saw the whole drama happen, shared that the couple looked like they had been planning to do this for years, seeing how there was so much emotion in their eyes, but they were firm in their goal. Ingraham, on the other hand, never expected to be part of a dramatic encounter and was caught off guard by it. But as a mother, she decided to set aside her feelings and focus on protecting Maria from potential harm. Ingraham has opened up about this whole situation to a few close friends. According to them, the news host tearfully admitted that she could not imagine a life without Maria. Despite her strong personality online, even Ingraham becomes pretty vulnerable when matters of her children are involved. "She's everything to me, and I will fight for her like any mother would." So far, there are no updates following this issue. And given Laura Ingraham's determined nature to keep her personal life out of the spotlight, it doesn't look like we'll get to see how the story unfolds in real time. This matter also opens a big can of worms about the legal complications of the adoption system. As stated before, all of Laura Ingraham's adoptions were legal and went through all necessary procedures at the time. But ever since Juan and Mariela put themselves in the equation, the whole situation has been much more complex than we all thought. Even if Ingraham's adoption was documented and executed under the law, Maria's supposed biological parents could still challenge the adoption on the grounds of many factors. Legal battles like these could drag on for years, which could result in an emotionally, financially, and mentally draining process for all parties involved. The public has already weighed in on the issue with supporters and critics of Ingraham having very different opinions. On one hand, her fans have been pouring out their support, rallying behind her and claiming that Maria's biological parents are just taking advantage of the situation for their own personal gains. Of course, Ingraham's critics have a more objective take on the whole situation, pointing out that the issue is much more complex and that Maria's biological parents have the right to seek their daughter. Through all of this, many can't help but point out Maria's very noticeable silence over the whole matter. She's already 19 and is of legal age, but she will always be Laura Ingraham's daughter. Maria has yet to share any public statement, though some of her friends share that she is overwhelmed and confused by her biological parents' sudden appearance. We can only hope and pray that the Ingraham family, as well as Maria's biological parents, reach a good outcome throughout this whole issue. As a single mom, some challenges are too hard to face alone. Which makes one wonder, will Laura Ingraham ever find a husband? Raising these 3 kids has been pretty challenging for Ingraham as a lone parent. And for those of you who are curious, she almost got married once. Laura Ingraham was once engaged to a Chicago businessman named James V. Reyes back in April 2005. She broke the wonderful news on her radio program, The Laura Ingraham Show. But as fate would have it, something came up that got in the way of her engagement, her breast cancer diagnosis. Being the strong-willed woman that she is, Ingraham went through treatment and came out victorious. However, her diagnosis and treatment proved to be too difficult for her partner. So just a month after she shared her engagement, Ingraham told her listeners right then and there that the wedding was off, although she remains single to this day. Laura Ingraham has quite a long list of well-known ex-boyfriends. Let's start with her college boyfriend, the American Indian commentator Dinesh D'Souza. Back when they were both attending Dartmouth University in the early 80s, he and Ingraham were together for a little while. Laura Ingraham once dated broadcaster Keith Olbermann in 1998. You could say opposites attract with this pairing, because while Ingraham is known for her right-wing views, Olbermann is an outspoken liberal. Word also got around that Laura Ingraham was romantically linked to former politician Robert Torricelli back in 1999. As of the moment, Laura Ingraham is not tied to any man, nor is she known to be dating anyone. So officially, her last known relationship was with James V. Reyes. For some, getting a cancer diagnosis is like getting a death sentence. And yet for Laura Ingraham, it made her feel more blessed than she ever was before. Back in 2020, Ingraham sat down with Stacey Gwandy of Cancer Connect to talk more about the media star's cancer diagnosis and treatment. Laura Ingraham was fortunate enough to catch her cancer diagnosis pretty early on. Determined to fight off her illness, she went through chemotherapy and even lost her hair. Ingraham revealed how her battle with cancer brought her to a place of clarity in her own life. She says it was an awful time, but it was glorious at the same time. Another key thing from her interview is that she tells people not to let a diagnosis devastate them. It's easy to say it, and sometimes not easy to do it because, believe me, there were days and nights where I cried, she revealed. But she encourages people to put one foot in front of the other. Most importantly, she tells them that they need to keep on living and not make cancer their brand. It shouldn't be the defining characteristic of their lives. Thankfully, those dark days regarding her health are well behind her now. Right now. She lives quietly with her children in her McLean, Virginia home, a wealthy suburb in the D.C. metro area. Her home sits on an impressive 2-acre lot with the house itself boasting 7,869 square feet. According to Go Banking rates, she purchased the house back in 2014 for $1.6 million, and as of 2025, her McLean home is approximately valued at $3.3 million today.